Welcome to History 23 or History 2.3. As many of you know, I've had many of these 15-minute episodes on, well, all of the next big things in history and what lies ahead in the future. Anyway, I think I should reiterate that with the dawn of the new millennium, we reached an inflection point in human history in which a confluence and convergence of technologies has set in motion unstoppable forces of change. As our own macroeconomic system and global enterprise have reached a point where the old order is no longer sufficient and a new world order must be established. Now, anybody that might think about a new world order might get concerned, especially if you're perfectly happy with the old order of things. But a new world order doesn't need to be a bad thing. In fact, the idea is a new world order that delivers greater prosperity and greater security for one and all people. And, well, I'm going to describe to you today, the three is representative, the third big thing after monopoly and travel that man invented. The Greeks, actually the Spartans, invented what they called democracy. One man, one vote. And in Sparta, there weren't that many guys, so, and I'm not sure I don't think they probably allowed the women to vote back then. It took like lots of time for that to happen. But anyway, in Sparta, they could hold votes and decide to rule themselves by democracy. But it's been a long time, and I don't think there's anywhere on the planet that democracy has really been direct. The reason being is that with too many people, we've chosen to create and fashion representative democracies. That's a democracy where you vote for somebody and empower that person, but then hope that person does the right things going forward and does the things that you would have them want you to do. And as you know, in American politics, there's all kinds of, well, in other political lands, there's corruption and all kinds of bad stuff. But in America, the corruption is much more subtle. It's influenced by and ad commercials and what have you, the right and left. But the problem here is, well, the problem is that whether you're right or you're left, yeah, that's right, well, either side, they have no solution because they're founded on one thing, the notion that we must have government as we know it. The other thing is, even the libertarians that might have this like new view still accept government as we know it. And I postulate a future where we govern ourselves more as an enterprise. And here is the thing. The future of technology allows us to achieve direct democracy. Now, direct democracy could be a problem. Way back in the days when America was formed, Alexis de Tocqueville of France wrote Democracy in America, and he described the potential tyranny of democracy. In fact, his own nation went through a tyranny of democracy, and well, we don't even need to go back into those days when they overthrew the king in France. But here's the point. Democracy can be a tyranny of the many over the few. You could actually literally vote to, like if you're in the United States, well, let's just vote to kick all this class of people out. At some point, we're getting to the point where all the minorities could get together, have a big vote, and say we're going to vote all the white people out. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, and I am being facetious here. But my friend in technology told me, and it's really not that hard when you think about it. He said, holy fuck, we could hold worldwide elections. Think about that, worldwide elections. And by the way, this wasn't just like every year or something. This was we could push a button on your computer or on your smarter cell phone and choose, make a choice, move your vote in real time. That is, well, democracy ties to another word that we learned, some of us learned, very few of us really know. The word I call the D word. I told the three wise kids that showed up in my door in 2005 when I first invented the future, what I call democratic capitalism. I told them to remember the D word, and the D word is disintermediation. Because here is the thing, the internet and the technology of that allows a direct connection between every person and an enterprise. A direct connection between, well, it could be a government, but a direct connection between a people in a greater enterprise, and a connection that allows them to exercise their will and power to the extent that we choose to use a voting mechanism. We might decide to restate and recreate our representative government to be more like an enterprise. Imagine an enterprise where you had not a parliament and all of that. You had a board of directors, and that board of directors would be elected. Now, there's some interesting dynamics that go in play as you think about how to shape the future of the earth. But before I get into how you would manage an enterprise of the United States of the world, let me, by the way, to call it the United States of the world, I don't mean to imply that it's a state of nations, but an enterprise of nations. But anyway, to achieve this, I imagined way back then what lies beyond Google. And what if instead of going public and putting their shares in private hands, Google had gotten a little bit of money, got happy and fat with their early employees and shareholders, paid them off a little bit, but rather than sell out the rest to the public, they held it back and sold out a chunk to charitable enterprises to raise the cash and held out equity. And then, imagine this, when you clicked on an ad, or later as Facebook grows, and you made a profit for the enterprise, why shouldn't this profit be shared with you? Now, it may have some laws in the United States, but digital enterprises could move anywhere in cyberspace. But why couldn't you have what lies beyond Google, what lies beyond Google Plus, Google Star? Why couldn't you have an enterprise that shares the profit with you? That's right. Let's say Google makes $1, okay, on what you advertised or whatever you did. Okay, why shouldn't you get 33 cents on that? Now, of course, their shareholders would be mad, but if their shareholders didn't care because they were long-term shareholders, and here's the thing, you wouldn't get your 33 cents in cash. You would get your 33 cents in restricted stock of the enterprise of this Google, because this Google was going to Google out the world and buy it all. And see, as this enterprise would grow, that's why we don't want you to sell out your stock. You would grow and grow your shares, and then in time, those shares would generate dividend, and that would create the incomes. Now, in addition to the traditional models that you might imagine here in Facebook and Google, imagine the possibilities of virtual employment. Like right now, employment's so difficult, but imagine that you could go and, well, for things that people are doing for free, like putting in wiki information or putting other, why couldn't we pay people in virtual stock for the value of their own creations? It wouldn't cost real money. it would only cost this virtual stock that would really grow, because imagine this, and those of you who invested in the startups of the 80s, like Oracle and Microsoft, saw your investment go up by 50 times. See, if you're at the beginning of a pyramid, that investment will go up a lot. And I'm envisioning and imagineering the bottom of a pyramid that goes for 1,000 years. That's a pretty long-term pyramid scheme. So what does it tie to? It ties to creating an order where the charitable capital, actually the rich of the world and the charities of the world, the churches of the world, conspire to buy out the world. And they won't have enough capital without the nations from China to Russia with massive resources, without the king of Saudi Arabia entrusted with all those reserves of oil in the name of Allah, without them joining to create one new monetary global standard, one new virtual money, one new capitalist world order in which every human on earth becomes a shell. That's right. When I imagined this beyond Google+, I imagined even those who couldn't retrieve their shares would be put away in the bank just for signing up. And so if you're in India and you don't have access to a computer, well, we got those shares logged in for you. When you get there, you get some free shares. And when you get into the system, you can earn more. And then, well, I'm not going to go into them, but let's talk about the future of democracy. And here's my vision, and it's just see, my vision is you guys can figure it out if you get around a round table. But in general sense, it's imagine if we had 10 bulls of business, all representing different sectors. I won't name them here, but I've named them because of our global enterprise together. And then we had 7 political heads, all representing the regions of the world. Now, those representative boards might actually be representations that would be replicated down to what we know as nations that will be part of our enterprise, more like sales subsidiaries. But they will all be tied to a single bank. And rather than build our future on a pile of debt, we'll build our future on a pile of equities. And by the way, one of the first things we target to buy in the world is all the world's gold and oil and the minerals and copper and reserves, because my plan is to blow up the prosperity on Earth from your flatline growth to 20+% a year for the next few years. Imagine growth beyond your wildest dreams. Imagine unbounded economic growth, and growth and innovation that is only bounded by our own imaginations. Imagine the possibilities that we could create heaven on earth. And this is the question: can it be done? I have never seen a person answer to me and tell me in any definitive terms, while my plan to achieve justice and peace on earth with a single global currency and to replace the corrupt nations and states with one enterprise for us under one God. Nobody has said or told me for many years how this could not be achieved. And my question is this: if it can be achieved, then it is only a question of will it be achieved. And that is a question of do you have the will to achieve it. Now, I've called upon Atlas angels to help in its achievement, but we could easily hold at any time a worldwide election on the internet. And we could easily vote to say, wait, let's explore this idea. Let us demand of our dear leaders to explore the potential of a new world order of all enterprise on Earth under democratic capitalism. You choose.